And do you remember anything about your debut, Chris, in the big leagues?
Yeah, actually, got called up. Was in Milwaukee for our debut. There in the first inning, and the phone rings, and the bullpen coach is like, "Oxspring, get hot." I'm like, "What? It's the first inning." He's like, "No, got to get hot. Hurry up." So I'm up there and I'm firing bullets away, and he's like, "No, slow down. You're a starting pitcher. Get used to. You can take a little bit longer." So the starter gets out of the first, so I sit back down. First hitter gets on the next inning, and boom, I'm up again. So I'm firing away. He turns a ground ball, double play, the very next hitter, and I'm thinking, yeah, sweet, 2 outs. I'm not going in the game here. Next minute, base hit, bring, phone rings. You're in the game. So the bullpen in Milwaukee's out in right field, so you try and take a leisurely old trot down there, and I reckon I got there in about 3 seconds flat. And Bochy was there to hand me the ball, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you alright?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He goes, "Because you're pretty pale." He's like, "Just take a couple of deep breaths first, and then you can start throwing." So anyway, I get on the mound and I look over in the batter's box, and it's Carlos Lee's on deck. And I look up and he's hitting 295 or something with 29 home runs and 99 RBIs, and I'm thinking to myself, don't be the guy to give up 30 and 100. For whatever you do, don't do that. So what do? I walk him on 4 pitches. Yeah, great. That's just what you want to do in your debut. Face the next guy, Jeff Jenkins, and catcher calls, two-seam fastball, down and away, and I'm like, yep, great, perfect pitch. Home run, grand slam. So that was the way my debut started in the big leagues, and after that it got a lot better. I ended up throwing 5 1/3 that day, and gave up 5 runs, but it was a blast. I can't get the memories out of my head. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it to this day.
And I know you're a little bit disappointed in that, but the next day you got some outstanding piece of advice from one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I was after the game. I kind of took off pretty quickly, as young blokes are supposed to do. They're not supposed to hang around in the clubhouse for very long. So next day, I go back early. I'm in the locker room, and I'm sitting in my locker, and get a tap on the shoulder and turn around. It's Trevor Hoffman, and he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm alright. Like yesterday didn't go as planned, but it's just one of those things." He's like, "Hey man," he goes, "come with me for a second." So he takes me into the training room, and there's all the pitchers charts set out there on the bench, and it's got all the charts from previous days and who's pitched and how many pitches and how many days rest for that day and that kind of stuff. And he shows me the game chart from yesterday, and he's like, "What do you see here?" And I go through all the names, and not one guy had a day off in about the previous 3 days. And he said, "Do you know what you did yesterday?" He goes, you gave up 5 runs, and it might not be the way you wanted it to go." He goes, "But you saved our whole bullpen, and you've set us up now to be successful, for the next week or so, just by going out there and throwing 5 innings for us in relief." And that for me was huge, because I was doubting, my ability. Like I was doubting my place in the big leagues, whether I was going to be there or not, whether I was good enough to be there. And you just get something as small as that gesture from somebody like him, and it changed my whole way of thinking about my time in the big leagues.
That's fantastic. And at the end of that season, there was another curveball thrown at you.
Yeah, I've had plenty of those in my career. I get a phone call in November. I'm thinking I'm going back to, back on the 40-man roster, going back to San Diego, and it was Kevin Towers called me and said, "Hey, look, we've got an offer from Japan for them to purchase your contract for next season. What do you think?" And I'm like, I didn't know what was going on then. So, long story short, I ended up agreeing to have my contract sold. Went to Japan for the season, and same thing again. I thought it was going to be a lot different than it was, and I thought I was prepared, and just a whole different thought process from Western style to Asian style, and it just didn't go to plan like I wanted it to.
And then after that year in Japan, you went back to the MLB?
Yep, signed back with Milwaukee at the end of the 2006 season, and went back to AAA. I was really excited to go there. I had Ned Yost as my manager, and Mike Maddox was my pitching coach. So, had guys that I was familiar with from across the diamond, but ended up in AAA pitching really well, and long story short, they had no room for me in the organisation, and I was pitching too good to stay in AAA, and so I took an offer from Korea to come over here for my first experience at the All-Star break, and got the trip of a lifetime, and ended up in a great scenario with a great coaching staff, great players to be around, great front office. It was just really a good taste of Korean baseball right from the start, and I've loved every second of it since.
And I know you spoke about the year in Hanshin wasn't exactly as you hoped to, but that would have had to have helped you assimilate for the foreign leagues.
Oh, for sure. The things that I messed up that I wish I could change from that experience in Japan, I certainly didn't make those same mistakes when I came to Korea. I was already aware of what their style was going to be going into spring training, how they wanted you to prepare, that you can't just go there and start to get ready. They want you to be in shape and ready to play games basically from the moment you get there. So it was a big change for me having that experience from Japan before coming here. So I was a lot more educated in life about Asian baseball when I came here for that.
And you had an outstanding season with them, but then unfortunately the dreaded injury bug got you?
Yep. 2009 I'm in spring training. I'm preparing for the season ahead back here again, and also preparing for the WBC in 09. And tore the ligament in my elbow in spring camp, and that ruled me out for the year. We were hoping that I might have been able to pitch through it a little bit, try and get me through to the end of the season, and it just didn't work, and they had to release me right on my birthday.
Yeah. You fought back though, and you ended up going back in the major leagues again.
Yep. Spent the second half of 2009 recovering from 2 elbow surgeries, all of 2010 in rehab as well, and 2011 signed with Detroit to go back to AAA, and unfortunately ran into the same problem again, of just not having any room for me in the organisation, and got released 6 weeks into the year, and spent the rest of the year in independent league, and had a great time. Not making no money, living in a hotel with a wife and 3 kids, and but just learnt to love baseball again for the game. I played for a great manager and a great pitching coach, and just on a team with a bunch of guys that were there every day to have fun. Obviously professional and wanted to win, but it was all about having a good time while we did it, and it was an extraordinary experience.
And then after that, you joined the real world with the rest of us for a while?
Yeah. The 2012 off-season came and went without a job for the first time in my career, so tried to figure out where my life was going to take me and what I wanted to do. So about halfway through the year I ended up finding a job at the NAB and doing a real 9-to-5 job for the first time in as long as I can remember, and just a huge dose of reality for me, and as most baseball players come to it when they're looking down the barrel at the end of a career, what you have to decide to do. But
can you explain, 2013, things went in another direction again for you?
Yep, played in the ABL at the 2012 season in preparation for the WBC. The Australian team had called and said that they wanted me to travel away with them if I was interested, and so had a good ABL season and had great preparation for the WBC in Japan, and threw the ball really well. Threw the ball probably as good as I'd thrown it since I'd had surgery, and had a few friends from the Team Korea that knew of that Lotte was looking for a pitcher, and so between them and David Kim from home, they managed to get me a spot with Lotte, and 2 successful seasons there, and that's been great ever since.
Now, you're currently with the KT Wiz, still in the KBO, and still racking up great numbers as you've done every year. And I know you've touched on it a couple of times, but you're married with a few kids,
Yep.
and I know it's difficult because they're at school and that now.
Yep.
Can you explain the situation for us now?
I mean, when this journey first started, it was just me and my wife, we were just boyfriend and girlfriend there, and she would travel over for a couple of weeks a year early on, and then later when we started to make a lot more money, she would come for the whole season. Then marriage followed, kids followed soon after that, and at first it was great, because they could travel with you the whole time and they could spend the whole season here with you, but as they progressively get older, you have to make that decision of like education and where they're going. So the last couple of years they've been at school during the season, so for me it's only through school holidays where they get to travel out here with, and I only get to see them for a couple of weeks a year, and then you're talking to them on a computer screen and stuff like that, which is, it's difficult for me, but at the same time, the biggest job falls on my wife's shoulders, unfortunately. She's got them, 24/7, 365. She doesn't get a chance to take a break. I get 9 weeks, in between their stays where I can just chill out and take care of myself, but she's constantly on the ropes with having them and taking care of them, and I take my hat off to her. She's definitely made the most sacrifices and got the harder side of the job than what I do, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And look, thanks so much for your time. We're running short of time because you're actually starting your game in about 7 minutes, so we really thank you for your time. Chris Oxspring, alumni member.
You're welcome.